Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new episode of NASCAR Heat 3 Career Mode. Today we go to the high banks of Daytona for the Xfinity Series with Hailie Deegan and myself in the Cup Series. Last season we almost won this race, but came up just short after a bit of an incident on the last lap. And I always consider this race to be about the midway point in the season, so we're now really thinking about playoff time. You see Hailie Deegan, she started 33rd in this race. She's already locked into the playoffs with 2 wins on the season, so no concerns for her at all. And myself in the Cup Series, we're locked in the playoffs as well, and we're going to be starting to get some silly season news in this series very shortly now that we've passed the midway point, so look forward to that. And we'll see who's going where now. As you can see, Hailie down the back straightaway, she didn't gain very many positions, but as she came to about the midway point in this race, she worked her way into the top 20 or into the top 15 as she sat P15, and there was actually a bit of an incident behind her, but no caution was thrown as she would continue to work her way forwards throughout the field. And by the time she got to the last few laps, she would actually work her way well inside the top 10, actually battling in the top 5 position on the last lap in this race. On the top line, she decided to make a move to the top, and unfortunately it didn't work, but she was able to get back to the bottom line and stick in line behind the 11 of Ryan Truex down the straightaway. So she would come through to finish in the 4th position as Kaz Grala would get the victory and put himself in the playoffs as well in the Xfinity Series. So once again, a solid effort from Hailie Deegan and our team. So I was very happy with that result, and hopefully we can carry this over to my Cup race where hopefully we can run good. I was still a little bit aggravated that we gave away this win last season, and I really wanted a second chance at it, so hopefully we can maybe do something here today. And like I said last season, we were battling side by side with Joey Logano on the last lap when we made contact, and down the track we went and gave up a shot at the victory. So here we go into Daytona. We're already obviously locked into the playoffs, so we don't really have much to worry about except just trying to get more playoff points. Maybe we can win a stage in this race. And we come to qualifying, and for the first time ever at a plate track, I made it to the second round, which is the round of 12 in qualifying. So I was very confident with this car as we came out of turn 4 down the front straightaway heading into the trioval. We had some solid pace in the first round, and as we come across the line, we end up going P4 with a 45.8. So that is certainly my best effort at plate racing qualifying, so hopefully we can carry that over to the race here in Daytona.
Tonight, the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series returns to Daytona International Speedway for the running of the Coke Zero Sugar 400. Now, we're halfway through what has so far been a thrilling regular season. Several drivers have already clinched their spots in the playoffs. For those on the outside looking in, a win and you're in. But winning here is never easy. The racing action at Daytona is as hot and unpredictable as the Florida weather. We're all set to go 400 miles. NASCAR racing is next.
Alright, we are ready to take the green flag in Daytona. Bubba Wallace and the RPM number 43 cars on the pole with Denny Hamlin on the outside front row, and Joey Logano sent to the back after failing optical scanning station multiple times, so he's going to have some work to do to get back up to the front as we start in the 4th position alongside 3rd place of Jimmy Johnson as we get ready to take the green flag in. The green flag is out in Daytona. We are underway, and I will note that we are running a different setup than I did in qualifying, because in qualifying I put in pretty much a full-on setup so we could have a decent qualifying effort, and I slowed the car down quite a bit into the race. And as we head down into turns 1, trying to close the gap between myself and Denny Hamlin with Jimmy Johnson on the inside, pushing the number 43 through turns 1 and 2 through the center of the corner now as Kyle Busch gets hung out on the outside line, so he's going to probably drift backwards as Bubba Wallace jumps up to the top line, and then he jumps right back down to the bottom to help the 48 of Jimmy Johnson as we go down the back straightaway. And Denny Hamlin, he's going to move into the bottom line. He's going to leave me out to dry, but we do have the 19 of Daniel Suarez behind me to help me push on this outside line now as we come through turns 3 and 4, losing a lot of ground as Jimmy Johnson looks to the top line on the exit of turn 4 down the front straightaway, and so does Kevin Harvick as we come through the trial, although they do go back to the bottom of the track as we come through to complete the first lap of this race in Daytona. And now as we head down in towards turn 1, we pull away from the 2 just a little bit now as I try to side draft the forward. Harvick through the center of the corner. We make a little bit of contact, actually slowing both of our momentums down, but he will try to get the edge on me out of turn 2, and he does just that as we come down the back straightaway. Still have help from the 19 of Suarez, and he has the 41 of Kurt Busch behind him as we head down the back straightaway. You see the 43, the 11, and the 48 kind of got away by themselves, but now we close the gap back up on them through turns 3 and 4, now making contact with the 2 of Keselowski. And one of the things I was noticing is the AI on this bottom line like to actually push up the track right now through the center of the corner, and I was not really expecting that, so you're going to notice I did make some contact here and there with the AI now as we catch the 43 of Bubba Wallace, who was kind of hung out by the 11 of Hamlin and the 48 of Johnson now as we got to his back bumper. And Denny Hamlin would also come up to this top line by the time we came to the end of lap 3, and we would start shuffling backwards. We fell back to P7. I had a chance to get to the bottom line, but I didn't take it quite yet as I was committed to trying to make this outside line work. But by the time we came to 2 to go in stage 1, looking to the inside of Ricky Stenhouse Jr., obviously I dug down to the bottom line because I kind of got tired trying to make this outside work because it just wasn't going anywhere at the time, and it was starting to get a little bit deorganized as we come through turns 1 and 2, though pushing on the back of the 9 of Chase Elliott as Keselowski currently leads this race. He won the real life race in Atlanta yesterday, so congratulations to him. He certainly earned that win. Now as we come down the back straightaway, though, getting the draft from the 11 of Hamlin as we close up on his back bumper as we head down into turns 3 and 4, coming to the white flag in stage 1 now, trying to get to the inside of Chase Elliott. I would like to maybe make a move to the outside to try and make something happen, but we're going to have to pass the 9 if we want to even think about doing that now as we come through down the front straightaway heading into the trioval. The 2 is going to come down in front of the 11 and halt our momentum as we cross the line to hit the white flag in stage 1 as me and Elliott continue to battle side by side as we move up to the top, though just in front of him as we finally clear him with a move into turns 1, trying to make something happen. But Elliott, he's going to duck to the bottom and leave me out as we side draft the 11 of Hamlin through turns 1 and 2. Now down the back straightaway we go. Keselowski has a big gap between himself and the field now as we come down the back straightaway. I have help coming from the 48, but certainly we're not going to be a factor to win this stage anymore. And as we head into turns 3, side by side with the 9 of Chase Elliott, Keselowski looks in command as we come through turns 3 and 4 for the final time in stage 1. 2 lanes here side by side, and Keselowski and Hamlin all by themselves as we come down the front straightaway in through the trioval. Brad Keselowski wins stage 1, and we will come across the line to get the 4th position in the stage, which will award me 7 points, and Keselowski obviously adds a playoff point to himself as Kevin Harvick got the last stage point here in stage 1. No one pitted, so we come out obviously in P4. Bubba Wallace there in the top 5, so a solid result in stage 1 for himself. And we're going to have the 48 of Jimmy Johnson on my back bumper for this restart as we go green once again. Stage 2 is underway, and just like the initial start of this race, we're on the back bumper of Denny Hamlin. So obviously I'm going to try and help him out here on this restart. If we can push him out in front of the field, maybe get down to that bottom line, that can certainly help myself as Jimmy Johnson's right on my back bumper. This is probably one of the best restarts I've had with the outside line at this track. Usually the 6th place car can get pretty disconnected, but you see the 48, he is all over my back bumper, ready to push this outside line to the front now as we try to get to the back bumper of Denny Hamlin down the back straightaway. Going to give the 9 a little bit of a side draft now as we get to the back bumper and connect with Denny Hamlin as we head down into turns 3, pulling away from the 48 just a little bit, but the 9 is also pulling away from the 43, so that certainly helps us as we come through the center of the corner, though still Hamlin and Keselowski side by side for the lead as we exit turn 4 down the front straightaway, getting a big shot of momentum as we head down through the trioval, pushing the 11 just out front for a moment as we cross the line to complete the first lap in stage 2 as we try to continue to push myself and Denny Hamlin out front and get to this bottom line now as Hamlin's just about clear of Keselowski through turns 1 and 2, but Keselowski's just barely hanging on his door now as we come out of turn 2, still trying to stay connected to the 11 of Hamlin as we come down the back straightaway, and we're going to build enough of a run to get clear of the 2, and me and Denny Hamlin both drop to the bottom immediately as we get clear from the 2 of Brad Keselowski now as we head down into turns 3 and 4. So certainly great teamwork right there between, 2 opposite manufacturers, 2 opposite teams obviously, but to me, manufacturers, teams really don't matter. I'm going to push whoever I need to push to try and make something happen. And by the time we came to lap 3, I had a huge run on the 11 of Denny Hamlin, so I dived to the inside to try and take the lead as we briefly side draft him going into turns 3, and we will get ahead of the 11 of Denny Hamlin, and unfortunately he would get hung out to dry, and I kind of felt bad for that because we were the ones that helped him up here, and then we just kind of left him out. But we would take over the lead over the 2 of Keselowski, who's in second place, and Chase Elliott in third now, as Hamlin continues to drift backwards as Bubba Wallace would look to his inside. By the time we came to lap 6 of 9 in stage 2, still running in that first position, in command right now of the field. But Bubba Wallace, you see behind me, he moved his way up to the second position as we came through the tri-oval to cross the line with just 3 laps to go in this second stage. But by the time we came to 2 laps to go, coming towards the white flag in stage 2, you see Bubba Wallace, he fell off, and this outside line started making ground, and they briefly got up side by side with me as we have help from the 78 now of Truex, as the 43 of Bubba Wallace obviously is not here to help me anymore as he got up to the top line behind. And now as we come across the line, the white flag in stage 2 is in the air as we try to hang on to get a playoff point. I believe we won a stage here last time in this race last season, so we're trying to do it again as we touch the apron into turns 1 and get sideways, but we hang on to the car through the center of the corner with still the 78 behind me, side by side with the 17 of Stenhouse's Austin Dillon. He looked like he was going to try and force it 3 wide for a moment, but he was unable to do so as we try to bring the 78 in this whole inside line with me on this bottom lane now as we head down into turns 3 and 4 for the final time in stage 2, as we look to be clearly in command as we touch the apron once more, as the car was just getting a little bit loose in the corners. But it's not going to matter as we come out of turn 4. We're going to hang on now as we come through down into the tri-oval. Stenhouse tries to edge out the 78, and we will win stage 2 to get a playoff point for myself as we still sit third in the overall standing. So we're in position to get a lot of playoff points again at the end of this regular season, as everyone would make a pit stop obviously, and I would come to take 2 cans of fuel, and we would take 2 right side tires, as well as I'd put the tire pressures down a bit as this car was just had a little bit too much of oversteer, and the tire pressures can help with that a little bit, and I didn't want to make a wedge adjustment, so that's why I went with the tire pressures as we get ready to start this third stage here in Daytona. The final stage is underway. We are green side by side with the 17 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. as we cross the line. The 78 obviously on my back bumper to help me try and get ahead now as we make the dive down the straightaway, trying to edge out that 17 and trying to clear him as we go into turns 1, but he starts to build up a run with that outside line now as we come through the center of the corner. You're going to see the 17 starts to build an even larger run, and he's going to get much faster as we come through the center and the exit of the corner. And by the time we come out of turn 2 down the back straightaway, him and the outside line just going to blow right on by me as I had absolutely no fighting chance with them as we were just stuck here on the bottom as Chase Elliott tries to get down in front of me. I decide we're not even going to bother trying to fill that hole, so we let the 9 of Elliott in and we fall back to P4 on this first lap of the final stage. So certainly not ideal, but now as we look to the inside of Elliott on the exit of forward, trying to work our way back forwards as we try to side draft him, but it's unable to work now as he slides down in front of me once again as we come through to complete the first lap of this final stage. Stenhouse currently in command as we make the dive into turns 1. Bubba Wallace leads that outside line over Keselowski, who's behind him, trying to make it work with him with the Kurt Busch and Jimmy Johnson behind them as well as we briefly touch the apron again, still having a little bit of oversteer in the corner, so certainly not ideal right now, but it certainly seems to be a pretty fast car that we have as Elliott's all by himself here on the bottom. So I'm going to use this outside line on him and try to make it work, and unfortunately you're going to see that the 9 was able to regain pace and I completely got hung out to dry on this top line. But fortunately there was enough of a hole between myself and the 9. I could have gotten down, but I decided we're going to try and make the outside line work with Bubba Wallace coming up from behind, because there was no outside line up here in the top 3 or 4, so I wanted to try and make something work so we can have 2 lanes going, and unfortunately at this moment it just wasn't happening. And I certainly had tuned down my aggressiveness in this race, because we've been pretty aggressive this season, and it has certainly costed me at times. Now as we come out of turn 2, side by side with the 10 of Almirola, we would drift back to the 10th position, finally being able to get down to that bottom line though behind the 43 of Bubba Wallace as we come through the tri-oval to cross the line to hit lap 28 of this race. And at this moment there was just 15 laps to go, and you see the outside line was completely dead as Bubba Wallace moves up the track, so I take the opportunity to look to his inside as he's able to easily fall in line behind me as we get very sideways going into turns 1. One of the biggest kind of oversteer moments I've had going into a corner at a play track, as you just see the back end just kicked right out on me into the entrance of the corner. Certainly, it was a heart-stopping moment, but fortunately we regathered the car and kept going, as that was a pretty big save, as that could have certainly went bad real quick, but fortunately we're still in it in the top 10 at this moment in the race, as the outside line starts to build up in front of us just a little bit, but certainly not enough to make something happen. As behind us we have a crash, and the 41 of Kurt Busch goes into the inside wall, and that would end up bringing out a caution as Kevin Harvick led this race. And there will be about 10 laps to go, I believe 11 laps to go on this restart, and this certainly gives us an opportunity to maybe make this outside line work, as the green flag is back out for potentially the final time in Daytona. As we come through to cross the line, Kevin Harvick leads as he tries to hang on for a win here in Daytona, as our teammate Kyle Larson's there behind us right on that inside line. As we get completely door slammed by the 48 of Jimmy Johnson, who makes it in a very ambitious, aggressive move to the 3 wide middle. I certainly was questioning what on earth he was doing, as he just came up the track and slammed me out of the way, certainly getting into the back of him there, letting him know I wasn't a big fan of that. I'm not sure what the heck that was, but that certainly killed my momentum as we fall back down to the 14th position behind Denny Hamlin. So certainly I was not happy with the 48 this time. We've had run-ins with him in my rookie season, but I'm not sure exactly what on earth was his mindset right there as we come through turns 3 and 4. Unfortunately, losing positions because of that now as we come down the front straightaway on this outside line alongside the 11 of Denny Hamlin through the tri-oval to hit 10 laps to go in this race, running out of time pretty quickly on this outside line, not working quite as well as I wanted to as we push the 14 of Boyer down into turns 1. And we start to come alongside the 48 of Jimmy Johnson as we do build up a slight run on this top line out of turn 2, side by side with the 48 as I back out of the throttle, and he hits me again out of turn 2 now as he slams me into the wall. And those two incidents with him right there that we've had were 100% his fault. The first one, he just drove right through me, and that one, he clearly just jolted right and knocked me into the wall. I'm not sure what on earth he was doing, but we would fall back to the 16th position. Fortunately, we would get to the inside line and work our way back forwards with 4 to go. We got into the top 10 behind 5th place of Bubba Wallace with our teammate Kyle Larson here on the top line, as I was certainly thinking about trying to help him as we come through turns 1 and 2. As soon as we clear that 78 like we do just now, we're going to jump up to that top line to help our teammate Kyle Larson as we come down the back straightaway. And Austin Dillon currently leads this race as he tries to hang on for the victory in Daytona as we head down into turn 3. Still pushing our teammate Larson. He's going to make a 3-wide move to the inside of the 10 of Eric Almirola as we come through the center of the corner. And I'm just going to follow him at the moment as we come out of turn 4. Now in a 3-wide situation as they make contact in front of me, but fortunately they hang on to it. And as we come across the line, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is going to go up my inside. Now we're in the middle of a 3-wide with him and the 10 of Almirola. Not a good combination at all when you have Stenhouse on your inside of Daytona. We're probably going to get wrecked here any moment with him. Now as we come through turns 1 and 2, still in the middle of that 3-wide, getting past the 10 of Almirola, making a little bit of contact with my right rear on his left front. Now as we come out of turn 2, we would work our way up to 7th, still looking to the inside of our teammate now Larson up turn 4 as more contact is made, as I kind of got tired of waiting. We're coming to 2 to go, and Larson wasn't doing anything now as we come through the tri-oval. 2 laps remain, and Daytona's we're once again in the middle of a 3-wide through turns 1 and 2, trying to clear our teammate Larson, but the 17 checks up through the center of the corner as we are still side by side in the middle of a 3-wide. We get squeezed a bit and we make contact with our teammate Larson into the 11. We go in sideways out of turn 2, but fortunately we hang on to the car but quickly drop a handful of positions now as we have a bit of drama now down the back straightaway as we try to regain these positions. Certainly now in a position to not win this race, obviously, but I'm very confident we can still at least get a top 10 in this is our last race to try and get a goal position of a top 10 now as we come to the inside of the 2 of Keselowski as we come through the tri-oval. The white flag is in the air in Daytona now as we come through side by side with Keselowski as we look to the inside of Clean Boyer, nearly going under the double yellow line, but we make sure to stay above it as we head into turns 1 and through the center of the corner. 3 wide with Boyer now as we try to clear him, and we will clear him by the time we exit turn 2. Now looking to the inside of the 78 briefly, but unable to make it work as we come down the back straightaway, sitting in the 12th position as we try to make it 3 wide with the 78 and the 10. We will do just that down the back straightaway for the final time in Daytona. Bubba Wallace in the number 43 currently leads through turns 3 and 4. The 43 and the 3 up front now as we come out of turn 4 for the final time. We are going to make an upset winner here here in Daytona as Bubba Wallace comes through the tri-oval to win in Daytona, as we will come through to finish 10th after a bit of contact with our teammate Kyle Larson, setting us back at the last couple laps in this race. So one heck of a race, to be honest. That was one of the best plate races I have had in this game, as we have the 43, the 3, and the 24 finish in the top 3, which are all very iconic numbers in the sport, so it was very fitting to see that happen. That was really cool. But top 10 for us, so obviously a great finish. I wanted a chance to win this race, and we almost got that. I wanted redemption for last season here, but obviously, unfortunately, it didn't pan out like we wanted it to, and it really usually never does at a plate race. So next season, hopefully we can pull that off in the 2019 DLC. We'll have to wait and see if that works. But now, as we go after the race, the only driver that's really angry with us is Bubba Wallace, and I actually provoke him because I was a little aggravated after that race with the 48 car and the whole finish, how it went down. But in the next episode, we will be going to Kentucky with the Xfinity Series with Haley Deegan, and then myself, obviously. This is a track we had a lot of speed at last season, but we ran into trouble again, so hopefully we can change that next time around into Kentucky. And if you guys enjoyed this episode, make sure to comment, like, and subscribe. Those would all be very appreciated. You see Bubba Wallace now locked into the playoffs. We'll see what he can do this season as Truex continues to lead the standings. And thank you for watching, everyone. I appreciate you guys checking out this video, and I will see you guys in the next episode in Kentucky. Have a great day, everybody.